One. Let's get real. School culture isn't just about matching t shirts and Taco Tuesdays. If your team is drained and your vibe is off and your staff is on a revolving door process, then it's time for a culture check. Today we are joined with the culture queen herself. I'm probably not going to say it. Chrissandra? Chrissandra?
Chrissandra, you were close.
Chrissandra Mosby, and she's here to help you flip the script and create a center that's built on connection, energy, and excellence. So, welcome to the Childcare Director's Chair podcast. I'm your host, Erica Saccoccio, and we are so excited to have the culture queen straight from New York. We're going to have a powerful conversation about transforming your culture at your center from the inside out. We're not going to sugarcoat it, guys. When we're talking about what you're doing, staff burnout is real. And if your vibe is dragging, your culture feels chaotic, more than cohesive, we're going to talk about maybe the mindset around that, shifting your mindset, your leadership habits, and daily practices to keep your center thriving, even on the tough days. So welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Hey, y'all.
So tell folks a little bit about yourself and where you came with the culture queen. So that's an awesome name. So let's talk about that for a minute.
Absolutely. I know it's a lot to live up to, but hey, y'all, hey, I'm Culture Queen Mosby. I am so happy to be here with you, Erica. Thank you so much for inviting me on to your podcast. I am humbled to spend this amazing time with you. I am hailing all the way from New York. I am originally from Long Island, New York, but I reside in the Boogie Down Bronx. I have been in education for a very, very long time. I'm going into my 16th year in education. I am in the charter world. I'm an assistant principal at an amazing school in Brooklyn, New York, an assistant middle school principal. So you know how it is, the wonder years, 6th, 7th, and 8th. But I'm really, really glad to dig into this conversation with you because this time of the year is when burnout is at its peak. So it's time to really get real and to give some childcare center workers and leaders some strategies and some tips just to really be able to support these crucial months that we're in now.
Yeah. So what's your no fluff definition of school culture, and why does it matter more now than ever?
You know, school culture to me is what you do day in and day out. It's something that you are doing in your schools and in your centers when no one is watching, but also when everyone is watching, right? It's something that you don't have to think about. It comes natural to you. You could do it with your eyes open or with your eyes closed. And it's something that your kids are used to, your teachers are used to, and it's something that really defines who you are as a teacher, who you are as a school or as a district and as a center. It's really the blueprint and the foundation of what your center or your school stands on, what you really and truly believe.
Yeah. Talk about at your center. I love charter schools. I think it's such an amazing concept. Talk about what are your core values at your school?
So the core values at the current school that I work at, we are a character school, right? So we believe that kids are going to make a lot of mistakes and we want them to make mistakes because we have a lot of caring adults in the building that are going to allow them to make the mistakes. And along the way, while they're making the mistakes, we want to pick out those key things like, why did you make that mistake? Or why did you use those unkind words? Why did you not use your words and use your hands instead, right? What were you thinking during that process? And how can we help you not make that mistake again? And if you do make that mistake, how and why did you make it again? And I think what's really, really cool about the school that I'm currently at is that the kids have been at this school since kindergarten. So we really get to mold them all the way up until eighth grade. So when it's time for them to pick their high school, they're really ready to go out into their communities to be really, really cool community change agents, right? And they know what they want to do in high school, how they want to impact their communities. And they're starting with like this really cool foundation of these are the things that I've learned through K through eighth, and this is what I can give to this brand new school that I'm coming to. So they have these really cool tools, these really cool words and principles like this is integrity, this is what it means to be a really cool change agent in my community, and this is what I can offer, and this is what I can bring. And I still have room to grow, and I'm going to make a whole lot of mistakes, but I'm really ready to grow.
And that it's funny because that was a trick question because she's probably like,
Yep.
where did that come from? So the reason I asked you that is
Yep.
because to have culture, you really have to understand what are your values. And so
Mm-hmm.
you have to ask yourself as a director, especially if you're running someone else's center, like
Absolutely.
what are the core values? Why are we here?
Mm-hmm.
What is the purpose of our work? And so once you're
Yep.
really plugged into that, and you should be able to, if you're not able to very quickly and clearly describe what your core values are in your school, that already
Yes.
tells you your culture is not where it needs to be, right? So that's why I asked you that.
Absolutely.
It was a little curveball
Yeah.
there, but yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
I
you want
think.
your kids to also be able to speak to those values, right? Because if only your teachers, your district leaders
Mm-hmm.
can only speak to those things, then
Mm-hmm.
you probably are on the wrong path, right?
Yeah, and
Because you
and
don't
your
just want the
families,
adults in the
yeah,
building.
and your
Yeah,
families. Most of
absolutely.
us, and if you're a charter school, that's a school that parents pick by choice. Most centers are a
Hmm.
program that parents pick by choice, and a lot of it has to do with how they connect with your center's culture. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, can you tell, how can you tell a director, or how can a director tell even if their culture is off, or even if
Hmm.
everything looks fine on paper? Like, let's say, okay, you're full enrollment, your teachers are still there, but how can you tell if your center's culture's off?
So, for a director, you want to go into your center and you want to put yourself in a parent's shoes, right? Or in a family's shoes. If you walk in and you're like, wow, the walls are filled with great bulletin boards, and you hear children laughing and you hear teachers, at the door greeting kids,
Mm,
but you sense that something is off, go with your gut, right? As a director, you need to ask questions. You need to be in the classrooms, right? You need to sweat the small stuff, right? If something seems off to you in your gut,
mhm,
then ask that teacher, like, why are you doing this way? Or why didn't you, do this with that parent? Why is this child sitting off to the corner? Ask those small little questions because that's going to get you to dig deeper and get those answers that you want. Because as a director, you are the one that really knows what your center needs or what your center is missing, right? Because, of course, you're going to do your quick culture audits, right? In the morning, you're going to have your daily huddles, right? This is what we want our day to look like. This is the type of energy we want to bring. So, those quick culture audits that you can have in the morning, midday, and then what I like to call those recalibration meetings that you can have with your teachers. At the end of the day, what was one thing that went really, really well today? And what was two or three things that we want to change for tomorrow? Those are those quick fixes, things that I've noticed that really didn't match with our culture. And we want to change those for tomorrow to make sure that we're all in alignment.
yeah. So you're known as the culture queen. What inspired
Yeah.
you to own that title and that mission?
Yep. So you know what? I'm known as the child care or the culture queen whisperer because I love building relationships not with children, but
Hmm.
also with adults, right? I'm
Hmm.
really easy to talk to. And I think that, people are really drawn to me because I really listen, not just with my ears, but also with my heart. Because the work that educators do, it's hard work, but it's also heart work, right? And I always ask educators, what is your why, right? Why do you do this work? What makes you wake up up every morning and want to walk into your school building or your center? What makes you want to create magical lesson plans or experiences for your kids? What is your why? Once I get that story for them, then I'm like, that is what's going to carry you through the really, really dark moments in your teaching career. So that is why I got the name Culture Queen. I'm also known for my really magical town hall experiences with kids. That is where we have the coming together of K to 2 grades or pre-K grades. So we all come together in the common area space and we are celebrating if you lost a tooth, birthdays. We are talking about our word of the month. We are doing really cool dances, but it is a time for us to come together and just be as one and just have a fun moment before we start the day. So that is how I got the name Culture Queen, because I love creating experiences and really happy memories, not just for children, but for adults.
I absolutely adore that.
Yeah,
Um,
it's
so
fun.
yes. Oh, I know, I know. Um,
It's so much
whew,
fun.
you had said the word culture audit. For those that are listening are
hmm
probably like, what is that? And how do I do it? So can you talk a little bit
Yep.
more about that?
Absolutely. So a culture audit, it's something that you can do early in the morning. I do it with my team every morning. We actually call it a culture huddle. So it's the first 5 or 10 minutes of the day. And I am asking them, what are the quick things that we need to fix? What are the quick fixes that we missed the day before? So they'll say at dismissal, we forgot to do this, this, and this. Let's make sure we do it today. Okay, got it. Who is taking authority over doing it? Do you need support doing it? We need to make sure that door A has the alarm on it. Who is taking authority over doing it? So it's the really quick checklist of things that you need to make sure that you have done so your school can run smoothly. Also, if there is a parent that may be challenging, right? Who is going to support this teacher with that parent? Or maybe it is a child that may be challenging. Who is going to support with this child today, right? With teacher so and so. So it is a very quick checklist. Also, within our culture huddles, we also do what we have clearing of the decks. This also happens in a lot of our team meetings. We're going to say before we start any of our culture audits or culture meetings, we're going to clear the decks. We're going to put 5 minutes on the time clock. Let's clear the deck. What that means is there anything in this culture audit or culture team meeting that is preventing you from showing up as your best self? Now, as educators, there are a lot of things that may be preventing me from showing up as my best self in my classroom, right? Or in this meeting or in this audit, right? I could have got a flat tire on my way to work. My baby may be running a fever, but I still showed up because I still have 23 kids in my classroom that I also have to care for. Or it could just be, I'm not feeling well today, but I'm still going to push through. As an assistant principal or as a childcare director, I want to acknowledge that, right? That you're not feeling well, that your baby has a fever. How can I support you in this moment? Do you need to step away? Do you need to leave? Right? Because I want you to know that you are a human being. Educators are not robots, right? And as directors, as assistant principals or admin in whatever capacity that you're in, we have to acknowledge that the people that come to work every day to, nurture and educate our children, they also need us as well to show up for them. So that's just a little spiel about the culture audit and clearing of the decks.
I love it. And that segue couldn't have been any better.
Yeah.
So here's one that I'd like to ask. What's
Yep.
one daily thing that either directors, principals, anybody in leadership can do to build a positive culture without burning out? Because you too are
Ooh,
also human. So because a lot of
absolutely.
times we'll take all people's stuff, we'll take their stuff and
Yes.
we'll do the things for them because we
Yes.
love them. But
Yep.
the more you love, the more you give. And so, how do we make sure that we also stay alive?
Yep. Absolutely, because we as directors and admin, we can't pour from an empty cup. Because I had a day like that yesterday where I just took, and
Mm,
then I was empty. What I love to do is music is like my heart and soul. Like I love all types of music. So sometimes I'll
hmm
just go in my office. I'll be like, I just need a solid 5 minutes. Let me just zone out to a little bit of neo soul. My favorite artist is PJ Morton. Let me just play 2 tracks of PJ Morton really quick, or a little bit of old school music. Let me
mm,
just zen. Let me get back to me. Let me take a couple of deep breaths, and then I can move on to the next thing, right? But I think as directors, we also have to understand that if we are at our capacity, we have to say that, right?
mm,
Like, I understand that you need me, but I am also at my capacity. This is what I can do right now, and this is what I'm going to table until tomorrow. It's not that I'm pushing you off,
mm,
but I also need time to be my best self for you, right? Because in leadership, we will just pile
mm,
on until then we are up to here with all of the things we want to do to support our educators in the centers. And then we're like, we can't even do half of the things on this list, right? So, as directors in the center, we also have to know when to say, can you give me a minute? I also need a minute because I'm also human. And I think the educators in your center will also appreciate you being transparent and saying, you know what, I'm having a rough day too. Right? Let's take this deep breath together. Come in my office. I'm about to play this track. Let's do the deep breathing together. Right? And even if some educators, I've had educators in my office that said, Miss Mosby, I'm having a really tough day. Can I just sit in your office? I just need to cry it out. And I'm going to allow you to cry it out. But when you're done crying it out, we're going to talk about 2 things that you can do for yourself, right? When you get home, and 1 thing that we can do together while you're in the building. And that's if you can push through. I'm never going to ask you to push through if you can't push through. If you can't push through, then you can't push through. But if you can, then I want to be able to support you while you're in the center or in the building. Yeah,
that's
because it's
great.
hard. It
Yeah.
really is hard work,
Yeah. I had
because you
that
want to
same
show up for
day.
your kids.
Yesterday, I had that same
Yeah,
day. I had a tough day. I did. And I asked somebody, I'm like, we're going to
it
table
was,
this till Monday. And then also
yeah, it was
respecting your
something in
own
the air
boundaries
yesterday.
because, yeah, because
Yeah,
that person kept pushing the agenda of that it needed to be resolved right then. I'm like, no,
yeah,
nope. We're not doing it today because the outcome would not be
absolutely.
where we really want it to, right? So yeah,
Absolutely.
right. So we sometimes have to just, I mean, because we do talk a lot about loving on our kids and our parents and our staff. We also need to
Yep.
talk about loving on ourselves, right? Because we are
Oh,
equally
yes.
important, and if we're the glue that holds it together, it's important that that glue
Yep.
works well. So, um, we have a lot of new staff in the industry. So, how do you build a
Okay.
culture with either new staff or younger staff who don't quite get it yet?
Yeah. With new staff, you really got to work on building buy-in, right? Asking what their why is. Why did you get into this profession? Why do you love children? Why do you love teaching, right? What is 1 thing that you're hoping to get out of this educational year, right? What is your focus for the year? What is your focus with parent relationships? What is your focus with your students? Once you get that buy-in from them, you want them to have a seat at the table. What is one project that you want to work on, that you want to bring to your centers, that you've never seen at any other centers, that you want to spearhead? And you let them run with it, and you let them go. Because before you know it, they're going to just be running, just run. I have this idea, I have that idea. And once you have the buy-in from all of the new people, it's great. I think
Yeah,
that's the best way to do it.
I
Get them
agree.
involved,
I agree.
right? Don't let them sit in the back, because when people sit in the back, then they tend to gossip, right? And nitpick everything that's wrong with your
Yes.
center.
Yes. Yes. So
Yeah.
let's go with this one.
Yep.
What's your piece of advice for directors that are walking in to an inherited mess? Where do they even begin? Yeah.
Yes. Oh, that's a good one. So, you know what? I had a former principal that said, when you are walking into a center or a school that you have inherited, and you are the new person on the block, the first year you sit back and you observe, you don't change anything. What you do is you take notice of things that are going really, really well, things that are kind of okay but need to be tweaked, and things that you know immediately the following year that you need to change. And then you have a separate list of things that need to be changed immediately because kids' safety and adult safety or well being are at risk. Those are the things that you know you have to
Mm-hmm.
change immediately. Those are like deal breakers. And then your planning months, right, which are generally they start around April going into the summertime, you're going to sit with your team, right? For me, it's my leadership team. You sit with them and you say, this is what I've done the whole entire year. These are the things that I've noticed. These are the things that I think that we should move on. And then you start to bucket those things into three big buckets. Things that we should change, things that can stay the same, things that we can work through that can kind of stay, but we can tweak them a little bit. Once you have those three buckets, then you go to work. You start planning. You start asking people what are their strong suits, their expertise, and then you start planning with the goal and the mindset of kids first, right? Because when you are thinking about we are doing this in good faith for kids, then you're not going to be planning wrong. Then the second thing is we are now planning for educators. How can we make sure that educators are supported with the plans that we are making for our center and for our school? Right? Because you always want to think about kids and educators. Then you also want to say, now with these plans, how can we make sure that all of the communities involved, so that's students, community, educator community, and family community, how are we going to communicate all of these changes or the things that are staying the same to them for the next school year? So that's how I would think about it.
Yeah, that's great advice.
Yep,
Yeah, definitely great advice.
absolutely.
Certainly safety immediately. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that that's,
Because it's
that's,
hard when you inherit something that is not your own because you're seeing so much at one time, especially when you're talking
yeah.
about culture and climate. Because you can inherit something that you're like, what in the world? How is this center even still open or this school building even still running? But if you really take the time to look and digest, there may be some really underlining things that are really great
Yeah,
about, that center or that school. So that's why you really need to give it that wait time to
yeah.
really see,
One of the
what you
things
can
that,
keep.
yeah, one of the things that I would even add to that in my experience is the things that you find are strengths. I wouldn't even
Yes.
wait. I would just keep building on those. Keep building on
Yes,
that, right? That
absolutely.
will really, really get that cohesion going, momentum going,
Yep.
camaraderie going, because then when you got to
Yes.
talk about the tough stuff, you've already got some traction, right? So,
Absolutely.
I think that that's a great strategy too. Safety first,
Yeah.
immediately take care of that,
Yep.
and then stop building on those strengths and just really make them super strong. And then when the tough
Yes.
stuff comes, you've got buy-in. So let me ask you this,
Absolutely.
because I asked about, the new folks. So we're not talking about the
Yep.
old folks, right? When I say old folks, we're not talking age here. We're just talking in general, the
Yep.
folks who've been around a while. How can
Yep.
how can directors address negativity or drama without creating more tension? Because I do feel sometimes a lot of the pushback comes from the folks who've been there the longest. Well, we've always done it this way. I don't want to change. Or these new people,
Of course.
they this or that. Like these big broad statements as though every new person is lazy. Every person in this generation doesn't get it. Like, nope, stop making broad statements. So how can directors really
Absolutely.
address that negativity from the folks who have been there a
Yeah.
minute?
Sometimes the folks that have been there the longest, they don't like change, right? Because sometimes change for people is scary, right? Because they're unsure if their positions will change because they're comfortable in the places that they've been the longest, right?
Mm-hmm.
For those people, for me, I would have candid conversations with them, right? can we sit down and talk about how long you've been at this center? I know you've seen a lot of people come and go, right? I'd love to hear your feedback on how many people have come and how many people have gone. I'd love to hear your stance on where you would like this center to go. Can I hear some of the glows and grows about some of the things you've seen happen with our center? I know that it's uneasy for you that change is about to happen, but we want this center to be the best that it can be, right? We always want to think in a mindset of innovation. What's the next best thing that we can do for kids? Because as you know, we're in an AI world, right? So it's changing very quickly. So we have to continue to change with the times. And being transparent with those older people that have been there the longest is the best way to be, right? Just having those conversations before they have those conversations, because please believe they're already having those conversations with their groups,
Yeah.
right? Already. So why don't you as a director control the narrative, right, for them?
Yeah.
So that
One
would
of
be
the
my
things
advice on that.
one of the things this makes me think of is I done an episode the other day on lead teachers and directors and
Hmm.
that relationship. Maybe
Yep.
even if you've got some like heavy change coming, maybe talking with your lead teachers first before you have
Hmm.
rolled it out to the entire team is
Absolutely.
I think is another way that way they can voice their opinions in that
Yes,
smaller group without it creating
absolutely.
toxic environment in the larger group.
I agree.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a balance, and speaking of balance, like how do you balance between fun, structure, professionalism when
Yes.
building culture, right? Because when you say culture, people
Yeah.
immediately think again, Taco Tuesday, you're coming out, with the cart, here's your favorite coffee, right? And those are great, but that's also
Yeah.
like the equivalent of saying that your 100% burnout is going to be solved by a pint of ice cream and a bubble
Yeah.
bath. It's not, right? It's much bigger. It's systemic. So, what is that? How do you do
Yes.
that balance between fun, structure, and professionalism?
Absolutely. And I was just having this conversation with my leadership team. We talk about culture in such a different way at my school. In my leadership team, we talk about culture as a rumbling, right? And it's also a process, right? Because we think of culture as, oh, yay, yay, rah, rah, we're all together, everyone is always happy. But sometimes culture can be sad, right? And uncertainty, right? And sometimes we have to have those difficult conversations to keep culture where we need it to be or where we want it to be. So culture can be tricky at times, right? It's something that you have to keep chipping at to make it what you want it to be. So I definitely agree with you.
Love that. So,
Yeah.
you had talked about kids first, then the educators, then the greater community. So
Yep.
let's talk about that. I'm so sorry, guys, that I keep coughing. I really am sorry. Um, but I'm a girl that if I make a commitment, we just follow through. So, how can we extend our internal culture to include those families and the larger community? As you said, they were like number three on that prong.
Yeah. I think that for me, families are always number one to me, right? When I think about the families that I serve, I happen to be an assistant principal in Brooklyn, like I said earlier. I work in one of the poorest districts in Brooklyn, and my families need so much.
Hmm.
My community happens to I am surrounded by three bodegas, four tire shops, and a liquor store. And then it's my school. My families are constantly asking me, where can I get resources for groceries? I don't have enough money to pay for my child's uniform. Where can I get healthcare resources? So I am constantly equipping my teachers with how to have those difficult conversations with the families in which they serve and how to listen without judgment, right? Because we all come from different walks of life. So when students walk into my building, They're like any other child. We don't look at where you come from or where you live or your economic status. You are a child who we are going to educate, and your family is now our family. If you are here and you want to learn and you need resources, then we are here to point you in the right direction. If it is in our power, then you have it. And I think that that's what makes our school so unique and so powerful because we are the hub in Brooklyn, right? We have all of these resources. Parents know that if they call any one of their teachers after hours, that our teachers are going to pick up. And if they don't pick up, they know that that next morning that teacher is either texting them, sending them an email, or saying, as soon as my prep comes, I am going to reach out to you. And that is what makes, our school just so powerful. And just really bringing them into the fold. We don't just educate your child, we're also here to educate you if need be. And for, educators who work in a childcare center, you really have this magical power to bring families into the childcare center, right? So if you want to have reading Wednesdays or reading Fridays, bringing that parent in, right? You could do that. Right. Any way that you can bring parents into your classroom, it's a great way just to build community and build relationship.
Wow. Yeah. Thank you so much for all. This has just really been a great conversation. As we start to
Yeah.
wrap up, maybe could you
hmm
give maybe 3 action tips, right, for the listeners listening right now? They're
Yep.
really excited, right? They're like, all right, I'm ready
Yeah.
to
Yep.
build some culture. Can you give them 3 maybe
Yep.
action tips or strategies that they can do tomorrow at their center?
Absolutely. So, at your center, number one, it's going to be relationship building. If you have not already done a newsletter, it could be weekly or monthly for your families. We want to get a look into what you are doing inside your classrooms. So, that is what you're doing in math, ELA. If you're having a field trip, just let parents and families know what is happening inside your classroom with their children. So, that's a newsletter either monthly or weekly. Number two, right? That is going to be having some time just for you. Just time for you. If you need that woo-saw moment, take that 5 minutes. Wherever you can get it. 5 minutes, you're going to listen to music, whether you have to journal, whether you just have to go outside, walk to the water fountain, you're going to do that for you. And number three, right? Be innovative. I want you to go to your director of your center and say, this is something that has been on my heart for the longest, and this is something that I want to try at our center or in my classroom. I've been afraid or holding back to let you know that I wanted to do it, but this is a passion project that I want to do. And I would love if you would just take a look at what I'd love to do at this center. So those are the 3 things that I have for them.
I love that. Thank you. And
Yeah,
if you are a
absolutely.
childcare owner and you don't have anybody, hop into our
hmm
leadership group and throw your ideas off of other educators. They can tell you whether they've done something similar. They can add to it. So sometimes we feel alone. So we're part of a bigger community, and it's important that you tap into that as well. I mean, what a powerful conversation. I want to thank you so much. If today's episode lit a fire in you to start building a stronger, healthier, more connected center culture, don't keep that momentum to yourself. Help us grow our community and reach more amazing directors by helping us hit our new Instagram milestone of 3,000 followers. Why? Because the bigger following means more awareness, more support, more impact for the field that we love. If you're not following us yet, follow us at CCDC Podcast right now. Give us a follow. Share the episode with a friend, fellow director who's ready to level up, because I think we all should lift each other up as we raise this profession. And trust me, it's just the beginning. We've got even more content, coaching calls, free resources, downloads, and tips coming your way. I would also love to give my wonderful guest here an opportunity to share her Instagram as well.
Absolutely. Thank you again for having me. But please follow me on Instagram and on Facebook at Culture Queen Mosby.
Thank you so much, guys. As always, have a great day. Thank you.